classical with a wraparound porch they called Halcyon. The name itself linked to the estate for as long as anyone could remember, and conjuring a nostalgia for better days. We'd drain our glasses, and the hours would pass while we exchanged our drink-inspired truths. Inevitably, the conversation would turn to the headlines, which was why that evening I had saved the story about the mice. Before I get to Ableson's reaction to those mice, the year itself, 2004, is a necessary digression. That year, and the confluence of forces harnessed to create its zeitgeist, are as much an actor in Ableson's story as any one person. For those of us who lived through it, we can remember that it was a time when a frenzy pervaded our national psyche, with its liberal and conservative personalities conspiring against our collective sanity. From the political left and from the political right, America had learned over the years to binge on scandal, the Clinton conviction, on piety, September 11th, and on wrath, bin Laden's body dragged from a cave in Tora Bora on Christmas Day. We had lost our ability to disaggregate our values from our rage. Opinion mattered. Accusation mattered. In recent memory, had there been a greater epoch of either? Had there been a time when a single word, anonymous or otherwise, possessed greater potential to undo the old order on which we'd once relied? Destruction and creation were in the air, and so had there been a greater time of freedom? Didn't our flawed society need to evolve? And if we did evolve, would any of this associated destruction have been wrong? We didn't know. Anything could happen. Nothing was sacred. All thinking became absolute. We congregated to the poles of leftward and rightward consciousness. We hollowed out the center of our political life, unraveling the braid of our societal obligations to one another only to awaken and realize with wonder that none of those obligations were, or ever had been, any stronger than a single strand of thread. It was on those threads that Ableson's life would come to depend. But that night the story of the mice was foremost in my mind. Had it appeared in the paper 5 or even 10 years earlier in a different time, which is to say a saner time, I wonder whether Ableson would have regarded it with such hostility. Once he'd finished reading, he handed me back the page with a flick of the wrist. "Utter nonsense," he'd said, as I took it from him. Did he think the report was a fabrication? "Martin," he added, "I haven't survived the better part of a century by believing every word put into print." The doubt he'd introduced into something I had so readily believed left me feeling a tinge inferior. He went on, "You have to be careful with these scientists. They get their jollies playing God." I knew from our other conversations that Ableson wasn't a particularly religious man. On a different night, after he'd lingered over too many martinis, that weighty subject had come up. I had confessed to Ableson that although I was born Jewish, I no longer practiced and wasn't sure I even believed in God anymore. But I also knew it felt wrong to say God did not exist. "When people cease to believe in God," he had answered, "they come to believe not in nothing, but in anything." For Ableson, God wasn't a belief so much as a defense mechanism against other more frightening forms of belief. Also, he thought he had little to lose by believing in God. If the other side of death was truly nothing, what did it matter if he believed? But if there was something on that other side, he had everything to gain. This was Ableson's logic of heaven. And now, gently, in service of the present conversation, I reminded him of our previous one and its logic. "Is it so bad," I asked, "if some scientists want to play God with mice? You've said it yourself. We've got nothing to lose."